Much Atlas. CLG showing signs of life here in this best of 5, bringing the series to 2-1 with a great end game, late game carry composition. So I guess I might have to retract my statement from earlier where I said it's time to take stock out of Doublelift and move it elsewhere, because they did exactly the opposite, put more stock into him, and it was successful this time around.
I think that was the most CLG game I've ever seen from CLG. That was just absolutely just it's just CLG in a nutshell. Like they got Doublelift ahead, got a quadra kill, started carrying, did really well. And I mean, sure there were times when I felt like the game could have been a bit faster, but I mean they did have a licking comp and they waited for the right power spikes and it worked out.
I'd also like to point out Seraph's early game play on that Lulu. At one point, he was above 80 CS to 24 on Rise. So I feel like that can't be overlooked as well when we're looking at what pieces of the CLG puzzle worked correctly. I think some credit is due there.
Right. I think Seraph maybe hasn't had many good games in the LCS to split, but especially in the last 2 games, he's shown up quite well. Like, really, really good actually. I think the last game he was 60 CS, or this game he was 60 CS ahead, and the game before that he was like 50 CS ahead, and he was getting solo kills. Like, he's been doing really, really well in the series, and he's the reason why the gold differential is even when CLG keeps losing dragons, because he has such a massive lead on his lane.
Looking further into the composition itself, we saw the Orianna get picked away, which I think was fairly successful in the sense that by forcing Keen onto the Xerath, right, he didn't have quite that impact that we talked about Orianna being able to have. Whether or not it's, you know, necessarily the super playmaking champion, there is that possibility of having the one great ultimate to change a fight. I feel like just knocking him off kilter a little bit really helped with pushing into that late game and having more confidence when CLG was picking those fights.
Actually, that Keen played pretty well that game. He landed a lot of crucial stuns, a lot of CC, a lot of damage, and he got a couple kills. I think he was part of the reason why Curse County was ahead in the mid game. But I mean, late game Tristana, you're just not going to beat that. I really hope that they have an answer for it, or they just pick it away next game.
All right, let's jump into a replay. You already mentioned it, the quadra kill early. That kind of started that train rolling. We're going to pull it up on your screen right now, 13 minutes into the game. So, Xpecial, since you already hit on it, I'll let you finish it up.
So, I don't think Curse Academy has vision of the dragon right now, and COG knows that. They're waiting for them to walk in, and they want to engage. And let's see what happens. So, actually, you have ward, but, I mean, Dexter flashes in, actually blocks the hook from hitting Link, lands some good CC, while Makamo Tristana is decently strong at this point and is able to get a bunch of resets. He gets really low here, but I mean, fortunately, this doesn't die. And it turns out to be a 4 for 2, but it's 4 kills on a hyper carry Tristana, who in this team comp needs the kills the most. He's willing to trade 1 for 1, even though he already had 3 kills. This is because the more gold you get on him, the better COG is going to do in the mid and late game. And the faster he gets his items, the stronger he'll be. And I mean, CLG for, I mean...
Yeah, hey, exactly. They extend the game. They go past that 40-minute mark. Doublelift is well over 400 CS, right into his 6 items. And at that point, exactly, we were talking back here. We were trying to do the math in our heads really quickly about the number of shields he was getting. That's like a 5,000 health Tristana, essentially, running at you at the forefront of a fight, saying, here, take my 700 damage crits.
Yeah, I really think that... Scarra Academy wasn't really thinking about draft. When you see a first pick Tristana, immediately you have to think like, okay, well, they either messed up or they're going to run a very hyper carry centric comp, and you need to be able to pick apart stuff that breaks it up really, really easily. So they went with a late top lane pick, and they picked Rise after Lulu was picked by CLG. CLG, I feel like if they wanted to run that comp, should have maybe picked Lulu. Or if they were going to first pick Trist, then immediately the reaction on Curse Academy side would be to pick Lulu away from the other team. That way they're forced to pick Mundo or Rise, stuff that Xerath does pretty well against. And that if they can break apart the Ultra Protect comp on the AD carry, they can make it a lot easier to deal with. And they already dealt with it pretty well. Like I think I agree with Xpecial. I think that was actually Keen's probably best game of the series. It just sucks that they lost the game, but I think that was definitely his best game.
Yeah, as you said, they took that Thresh and Caw in the first 2 picks, leaving up the Lu and Orianna to quickly fall on the other side of CLG. So maybe even just one of those 2 picks going in the way of stealing that Lulu or stealing away, you know, the Braum, whatever it is that is helping to keep that Tristana alive. Let's jump now to the end of the game. We're near the end of the game, 41 minutes in. The big fight in the top lane where we kind of watched that Tristana turret dive by herself. Scarra, I'll let you take this one.
I think at this point, the game is already like looking really, really bad for Crystal Academy. Like they need to find some way to deal with their team. And I think at this moment, Triss has enough shields and 6 items just to be able to walk in this team. And the worst thing is they also have Braum, meaning that none of their damage could actually go through Braum except for Xerath. And Xerath can't do 4,000 damage. So Triss gets the ultimate protect comp that she's always dreamed of, and she pretty much 1v5s. Well, essentially 1v5s with a whole team around her.
Yeah, exactly. We get to that point where you're pretty much going to get run over by a Tristana. So now let's look forward, because CLG definitely looking like they're in form again. That, like you said, Xpecial, that is the most CLG way that CLG could have played that game. So moving into picks and bans of the next game, it has to be said that actually Curse Academy is going to be losing a ban for talking during one of the pauses during that game. So as both a coach and a player, first talk to me about what that can do to a team when you do lose one of your bans, especially, you know, in a series, right? When you've just lost a game, and then what they might do to remedy that or work around
blue
it.
side?
Curse Academy will be moving to blue side, correct?
The ban actually isn't as important on blue side. When you're purple side, on this patch, there's a lot more OPs that you kind of want to ban out. But on blue side, it's going to influence their bans, and it's going to be interesting to see if Tristana actually gets through this time and if they'll actually first pick it. Yeah, blue side is not as important, but...
Yeah, I think that definitely that one thing to note is that Curse Academy's work control in most of these games has been inferior to CLG's. And a lot of times the way you break apart games and accelerate games and finish them early is that you establish areas of vision and then create picks or play the map very, very well around those areas of vision. And or else the game extends and extends and extends and goes really, really late. So if Curse Academy can't get this vision control better, then they're going to have games that can potentially go really, really late. Like this kind of Triss comp that CLG runs may just be the single comp, the only comp that they need to win the series.
Scarra, you mentioned in the last segment that CLG is one of the more emotional teams that you know, and that by losing a game, a lot of times that can spiral them out of their play style. Well, they've now won a game. Does that emotion work both ways? Is this going to be the catalyst for them to move forward into the next game?
I definitely hope so. Like I would like to see 2 more games for sure, but it's really hard to say. Like maybe with the help of Zuna and help of Hotshot taking a more proactive stance, they've like kind of solved a little bit of their mental fortitude problems and stuff like that. It's hard to say. I really want to just see how this next draft goes and how this next game goes. I think that CLG's just found a way to win the game. It's up to Curse Academy to find a way to not fall into that cycle.
Especially you've played against CLG this split. And so I want to get your take on whether or not you think that they're going to come out with the win in the next 2 games.
Ooh, that's a tough question, man.
I know, it's a tall order, I realize that.
I would say it's going to be up to the draft. I think CLG, they're playing their late game really well. If they get their Kog'Maw or a Tristana in there, I think they can definitely do something. But at the same time, Curse Academy, they are winning mid-game teamfights a lot of the time, and they get the champions that they can win those teamfights with. I think they can take the series.
All right, CLG, they got to put all of their cookies in the late game cookie jar. And we'll see, has CounterLogic Gaming managed to stop their slide in this series? We'll find out in Game 4 when we come back.
Let's do it.
You ready?
One more game, baby.
Let's do it. One more.
Double lift is jumping all around this fight. Is he going to be able to pick up more? The flash, the triple kill. Is Chris going to go down? No, yes, the quadra kill.
He lands the brush for vision. That's the first great bit. The play, and then the predicted flash that comes out of the death sentence. Oh my god.
Hasn't lost any health there at all. And Bunny Boo gets taken down solo. There's the shockwave from Link at the same time. Nice 2-man shockwave on Bunny Boo and Chris. But there's Seraph getting the damage through onto St. Vicious. CLG come back in the 3rd game.